Someone mentioned that we had a good jobs report today, and I just want to talk about that a little bit. We did have a good headline number from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. A couple things about it that I just want to bring up are I was reading about it in the Financial Times, and I was scrolling through the comments after I read the article, and I saw a comment, let me see if I can find it for you, that said, wonder what big Atrioc GH Glizzy Hands Ewing thinks about this one in the Financial Times, which means somebody paid for an account. Here it is. Untimely cashew. I saw this, it jump scared me. The FT is my safe space, bro. Anyway, a couple thoughts on it. If you drill down into the numbers, all of the job growth comes from low-paying jobs in leisure and hospitality, healthcare, and of course, government jobs. Seasonally adjusted government jobs is 700,000 of the job increases. Fango is mentioning their revised number up from last couple months, but Fango, I don't think you looked too closely at that revised number, did you? I think you're parroting because that revised number that went up was actually revised down for all private sector jobs. Only government jobs were revised up, seasonally adjusted. So again, the government jobs were seasonally adjusted, revised up to a greater number, so they say, okay, August is right up. But the private sector jobs were revised down yet again. Consistently, private sector jobs keep getting revised down or reported down. The private sector, like good paying full-time jobs, continues to decline. Also, I don't know if anybody knows this about the jobs numbers, but if a person has 2 or 3 part-time jobs to make ends meet, that is counted in these statistics as 3 jobs. Full-time jobs in this report were down 500,000. Part-time jobs were up. Again, there's a lot in this report that I think is concerning, but we keep going only by the headline number. Again, if you work in leisure and hospitality, which is like usually low-paying jobs around like caring for rich people, healthcare, or in a government job, there's some growth. But if you're in any other industry, you're seeing contractions. The ISM manufacturing numbers were down. The S&P Global Employment Index was down. I mean, there's a lot more to it, is all I want to say, than just this headline number. But again, before an election, no one wants to hear it. Everyone's all in. And I'm not trying to the system up. I'm just telling you that I look at these numbers pretty closely. And again, there's a lot to unpack here. But why are you describing government jobs like they're not real? They're still jobs. Government jobs are not a good indicator of an economy's health. We are having extraordinarily large budget deficits. So of course there's going to be jobs created. When the government's spending $400 billion in 4 days, something crazy. I think we did $400 billion in 4 days. We're running like World War II era deficits. There's going to be some jobs from that. But it's not sustainable. So if all the job growth is coming from government jobs, especially seasonally adjusted government jobs, which could be like hurricane based. I mean, it could be, there's a lot of things that could be. It's not a good, healthy, sustainable. What you want is like private sector job growth. That's what you want. And we're not having that. Does the military count as a job? Yes, it does. This might be a stupid question, but do jobs at public companies count towards private sector numbers? Yes. And I guess it is a stupid question, but it's fine. I'm gonna explain it to you. A public company just means that average people can buy and sell stock in it. Public and private in the context of jobs means whether it's owned by the government or owned by regular people. A private company, Apple's is not a public company. It's public in terms of you can buy stock in it, but it's not public in terms of job. I guess it is confusing. I guess, yeah, I can see how that could be confusing. Public-private ownership versus public-private sector. Isn't the 80 people reporting private payrolls? I have not seen this, but I'm just talking about the BLS report today. If you look at this BLS report, they are reporting, even in this big headline number, that private sector jobs are down. Full-time jobs, down. I'm responding to this report that is being talked about very positively. Can the IRS commit tax fraud? I don't know. Sure, I guess. Atrioc, did you see the dock workers came to a temporary deal for 63% raises over 8 years? First time in chat. I have not covered this already. Congratulations. The dock workers reached an agreement that prevents massive economic duress right before an election, which is a good thing. They were asking for 77% about over 7 years, and they got 63, 62%. It's a negotiation. They punted on the automation question. They will have to renegotiate that in 2025. Both sides couldn't land on an exact agreement, but wage-wise, pretty good increase. I mean, the shit works, bro. I guarantee you this. Had they not struck, they would not be getting a 62% wage increase. They would get nothing. There would be no wage increase. Do you understand? Like, they did it and they got the wage increase. Some people talk shit. Bunch of media outlets talked about, oh, wow, they make such good money already. They should really not get greedy. But guess what? They have a wage increase now. More of the shares of these massive shipping company profits is going to the labor. It's not that crazy. Hey, Big A, I was watching an investing YouTuber called Joseph Carlson. He recently covered the dock worker strikes earlier this week. He was totally doing the thing you talked about where they say, oh, the leader of the union is rich. Why do they need to strike? I definitely noticed that during the video, but I want to say thanks for trying to help spread more media literacy in your chat. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because the same narrative happens every single time there's a strike. And once you notice it, you'll start to see a pattern. So cool. Cool that you noticed that. It's just like the really knee-jerk response to every strike. Did the strike succeed? I mean, they got a better deal than what was offered. They didn't get everything they asked for. The main question will come down. I guess the automation question gets answered next year, but it was good. I mean, listen, they got a pay increase they wouldn't have got. And it prevented like total economic chaos right before an election, which would have been a real October surprise. Did you see the FT article describing a meeting from Kamala Harris's top donors that she's open to replacing the head of the FTC and the SEC? I did see this. I've talked about this. I mean, this has all been apparent. Lena Khan's head is on a chopping block, bro. Nobody want her except for the American people. However, in the gamesmanship of politics, realistically, getting someone new would require approval from Congress. They have to be like vetted. Given if Kamala wins, she's likely to have a Republican Congress, she may not. Listen, I don't know. I know my odds are best with Kamala Harris for keeping Lena Khan. And also, she's got to say, I'm open to it to get the donation. But also, the donations do want their pound of flesh. We'll see. Maybe she could transfer to a much harder job like streaming. You think Lena Khan should quit the FTC and become a streamer where she can make some real impact? Yeah, that's actually a good idea. You know what's funny? I feel like I got through to somebody today because somebody messaged me, unsolicited random DM on Twitter, and they said, hey, Truck, I used to be a big fan. I've watched every Marketing Monday, but after you made fun of parkour civilization, I can no longer be a fan. I hope they get rid of that lady you like from the SEC. Now, my first thought with that was like, damn, she doesn't work at the SEC. Like, you don't even know, you don't know her name. You don't know. That was my first thought. Anyway, whatever. I ignore it, whatever. I'm at the grocery store and I'm waiting in line to check out my thing and I'm scrolling through my DMs. I see 5 hours later, that person edited SEC to FTC. They changed it to the right answer in an That's awesome. That means they looked into it. Do you know what I'm saying? They looked into it. They learned something. It's a positive impact. Did you see the Ubisoft Tencent acquisition rumors? Yeah. So Ubisoft stock jumped like 30% today because there's rumors that they're gonna sell, possibly to Tencent, but they're gonna sell. I mean, Ubisoft is the story of a company that was never really well liked, but had some good IP and has just been run into the ground, especially over the last 5 to 7 years. Just absolutely mismanaged on every level. Here's their stock. Now that it's hit true lows and they have flop after flop after flop, dude, they just keep getting these games that are just not hitting and they're spending so much money on them. Their CEO put out a statement. It was like something like, he was like, gamers have changed. They can't have just a good game anymore. It has to be like a truly legendary, one-of-a-kind live experience. And it's like, bro, people are selling good games all the time. You know, Balatro is an example of a regular ass game that makes you're just not making, you're trying to do all this extra shit instead of the game. And so anyway, they're finally just pulling the ripcord. I mean, they're doing the same thing that Bobby Kotick did, which is like mismanage a great company into the ground and then don't get punished for it because you just sell everything off. And then you personally stay rich. All the employees get It's ridiculous. Did you hear about the rumors that Qualcomm wants to buy Intel? I think it won't happen. I haven't really talked about it because I don't think it'll happen, but I could be wrong. I don't think Intel's selling. I don't think they're going anywhere. Why does CEOs even pay employees wages anymore? Shouldn't the employees be grateful to work there? This is what I tell my editors every day. And I do mean every day. I feel like I'm almost afraid to say this. In America, it's like such a chilling effect on speech, you know? Censorship is so high that I can't even say that I don't think employees should be paid. Isn't that crazy? Like, lock me up. But yeah, I do think that like I should be able to systematically underpay my employees. Instead of US dollars, why don't we get paid in company money? Well, you know what? All the job growth is government jobs, so it's kind of the same thing.